latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Outdoors with me, Mike. Telling you guys a bit of a review video on a brand new product from Outwell. So with me today, I've got the Outwell Jacksondale 5PA. So the Jacksondale is basically kind of fits in kind of Outwell's Prime collection. So the whole Prime collection in many ways is offering a great product, well spec'd, but not necessarily is going to break the bank. And you kind of got your key features built into it, and in some ways a little bit more than say your absolute sort of key features. So throughout the video we'll kind of talk through the spec of it. Now it's a bit different. The thing about those collections is one 5 berth doesn't merit to another 5 berth in terms of its overall size. So for example, this one's about 360 wide, whereas most sort of Outwell 5 berths tend to be about 3 meters, 320. So it's really hard to compare one to the other. So this here, we've got a really nice free-zoned 5 berth tent. It's probably in Outwell's kind of range, a very generous 5 berth. For me, it'd be definitely more of a comfy 4, with having a bit more of a master bedroom, which we'll come to in a second. The free zones, you've got sleeping, kind of a nice, generous kind of living area, and then a canopy area as well, which is completely enclosed. We've got a really nice kind of embossed kind of fabric. It's about a 4,000mm high studded head, 70 denier. So it's a nice durable fabric with a good waterproof rating. We've got tinted windows as well, so we've got a little bit of privacy there. And also there's actually curtains throughout the whole tent to get that ultimate level of privacy when you wanted to. The joy of the tinted windows is you can always just sort of see shapes rather than physical detail. But you've got that secondary layer of, again, of those curtains which just toggle up into place when you want ultimate amount of privacy. We've got high visibility guidelines along the sides, married up with kind of webbing storm straps at the front and back, just to give a bit more bracing, a bit more tension into the roof. And then you've got, again, you can ability to kind of tension that in quite nice and neatly. Outwell also do their own kind of pegging system where you have different colour pegs, different points. So that's also something to be aware of. We've got a brow canopy on the side. So this is going to allow you to enter the main living area quite happily without the water coming directly in. We've also got a mesh panel built not only on this side, but at all 3 doors to the main living area. So that's showing you a bug-free barrier. But by having it obviously with the rain-safe canopy door, means you can have it open if the weather's sort of turning at all. You haven't got to worry too much. The water can quite literally bead around and then go down the side. Being air, it's very quick and easy to pitch. So I myself have pitched this model in around about sort of 8-9 minutes, which makes it sort of perfect for short weekends or if you want to go for longer weeks. In terms of the overall size, like I said, it's quite a generous sort of size. Certainly in the living area side of things, you can more than happily kind of accommodate 5 people. Each beam is done individually, and it has access directly through these kind of sort of dinghy style valves. Like I said, we've done a pitching video which you can really see sort of how simplistic it really is. Other things to mention, we've got a really nice ventilation point. So not only we've got obviously the mesh sides where the doors are, there's a really big mesh point at the back. We've got low level ventilation down here as well to help with airflow. It's all to help sort of, you know, fight off condensation. The front door, as we can see here, can be actually opened up from right to left or left to right. So it doesn't really matter which way you kind of do it. And you've even got a little separate kind of toggle points located here, so you can kind of do that as well. There's a halfway point, so you can again just have half door open, have a little bit of shelter on one side, quite nice and neatly. Failing that, what you can also do is there's actually additional zip pullers. So you can drop it down like a little veranda. Much easier from the inside, I must say. So you can drop it down, have a little veranda, so you've got a bit of airflow in, but you've still got the sort of security to keep the dogs and the kids necessarily inside itself. But all in all, it's quite a nice sized tent. In fact, let's have a little bit more of a look on the inside of what the Jacksondale has to offer. So now inside Jacksondale, you can kind of get a bit more idea for having that door sort of opened up to the side. What I'm going to quite literally do is just kind of open up a little bit more. It's also worth mentioning there's a curtain completely in that kind of front awning section. So if you really wanted to, you can also get plenty of light into the tent itself. Just by merely unpegging this. As I said, we can either roll it back and toggle it to the side like we have with the middle section of the door. Failing that, because the zip goes all the way down, you can be ultra lazy. And then have almost like a complete kind of open canopy. So I'm just going to kind of roll that into the corner, just to give you a bit more idea. So again, you've got this really nice open canopy. So you've got the flexibility of enclosing when you want to, or having it nice and open. We've got curtains obviously throughout the whole windows we see around the side here. So again, we can get that complete sort of enclosure in that front section. When you get a ground sheet for the front section, when you buy the footprint, actually what you find that actually kind of comes a bit further, actually toggles up as well to give you like a bathtub kind of feel, which I think is quite important if you want to make it completely enclosed. As we kind of go to the sort of divisional door between sort of the awning section and the living section, we can see there's sort of storage pockets built into here as well to help kind of declutter, your main kind of cooking area or wet area for that sense. There's also a little cable entry point so you can have sort of mains hookup coming directly in from the front. The middle door, you've got lots of different options. So it features kind of Outwell's quick and quiet door, which is a magnetic system that allows you to kind of come and go, and the door essentially closes behind you. Built into the actual door part itself, we've got mesh panels as well. So that's going to be the first main barrier coming from the front against kind of the bugs. That twinned up with mesh panels on either side doors as well works really well. Failing that, you've got curtains that actually zip up on those panels to give you that complete amount of coverage. When you see there, you don't have to use it that way. You can still use it in a conventional door and sort of unzip it from one side to another and toggle it back like so. And there's also a zip running along the bottom as well as the sides. So, I mean, like I said, the magnetic kind of door, you can kind of push it open. And it's meant to sort of shut behind you. I do find with these kind of models, sometimes it doesn't close all the way. And it's basically just down to the way it's kind of pitched sometimes. Might just need a little bit of a hand up. I think it works better when you've got a solid edge, so we've got it in the bedroom section as well, and that works a lot better. But if we take away kind of the physical door itself, again, we'll unzip that back, open up and use it in a more conventional manner. By having that kind of zip along the bottom, when the door is actually physically zipped up down the middle, you've got a much more thorough attachment, so it zips all the way around. And then you just do the same kind of process, just roll that back, toggle that back again, and then we kind of really bring that kind of sort of front area into the main living area as well. So again, we benefit from that, and once you get in here, you can kind of appreciate clearly how the size it is. That's for saying it's a generous 5 berth. It is, to be fair, it is quite a generous 5 berth. It's probably one of the more larger 5 berths out in the market. It's not quite a 380 width, but the 360 width is pretty decent. We've got kind of a nice sized beam diameter as well. So again, that's great for sort of stability. But also what you've got is kind of Outwell's hook track system. So Outwell's hook track system is the ability to have like a kind of clip that goes onto a washing line, is probably the best way of saying it. And you can have sort of storage unit hanging down, lighting going across, and you've got it featured physically in this beam here and this beam here, and it sort of faces to one another. So again, you can kind of have a lantern hanging down from the central point. Headroom wise, it's pretty decent, certainly when you're in the middle. When you get to the corners, because of the way it's kind of shaped, they've got a kind of rigid structure, but with this, it's not really called a Gothic arch, but it's a rigid, it helps to kind of bring the sides a bit further away, so you can put things like furniture a bit closer to the sides. Again, we've got good visibility through 2 windows on the side here, and then 2 doors of mesh. The one which we saw earlier from the outside shot has that rain-safe canopy. There's a little mesh vent up here as well to help with that airflow, regardless of whether that door is open or not. Saying that, you've got, again, a mesh door on this right-hand side as well. So you've got bug barrier from all 3 entrances, which works well, and certainly for those hotter days is ideal for that ventilation. In kind of the sleeping scenario, we've got essentially a 5 berth, so it's a 2 berth and a 3 berth here. This one, 2 berths, 140. So it's a good sort of depth. You happily get sort of a standard airbed in there. With here, you've got a 180 width. So it's running about 60 centimeters per person. So you're not going to quite get a double and a single, but really I feel there's been more of an ideal sort of 4-person tent where you've got the mum and dad in there and then the kids in here. So you've got definitely more space for the more important people who are buying the tents. And again, we've got mesh panels built on the front of here as well to help with airflow. And there's a big mesh panel right at the back, which we'll come to a bit later on. We've got the kind of quick and quiet door, and I'd say why I would have the master bedroom as this one, not only because of the size, but also because actually it has a quick and quiet door, so you can kind of come and go as you please, and it closes quite nicely behind you, and it works in a much better manner, if you ask me, because you've got a more solid edge vertically down. It's not like they're both coming together. It quite happily comes back to one another. You check it out here. Failing that, you can still, like I say, use it in that functional way if you really wanted to. So rolling that back nice and neatly, opening that up. Now you've got a divider between the two sections. It's zipped on both the sides. It lays kind of dormant a bit on the floor, but it kind of gives a bit more of a physical, division between the two sections. And the whole inner is a slightly darker material as well, so it's going to hopefully help to cut out early morning light. We've got storage pockets built in not only to the side of the bedroom internally, but there's a couple on the front there as well. We've got a nice big mesh vent at the back here as well, with a little blind as well to necessarily choose between, getting the airflow still in and visibility out, or just the airflow in itself. In fact, let's pick the camera up now and have a little wander in just to kind of get a bit more of a feel for the Jacksondale. So you can probably, as you come in, appreciate it a little bit more. We've got that sort of front storage section there. Again, also the curtains quite nice and neatly. And we've got just located down the bottom. We've got a lot of kind of little skirts along the bottom as well, just to kind of help seal the actual tent nicely. And this beam is kind of angled a little bit, just to give a bit more tension into the roof itself. When you're kind of in here, like I say, you see that sort of really nice open kind of feel. And for me, I think probably it's one of my favourite Outwell 5-berth tents they do, certainly when it comes to this kind of price point in comparison to the rest. Bigger sort of depth bedroom there, and then we've got the sort of storage pockets built into the side. We've also got that little vent which I mentioned at the back, so you can probably just about see, so you can get a bit more visibility out the back, but then you get privacy when you want to. And I've got that rear vent completely open. You can also see how it's tapered at the back, so that's going to help if you've got sort of taller bedding sort of furniture or anything like that, or high-rise airbeds. It brings a bit of a more steeper back to hopefully accommodate that. It's not going to guarantee you do it, but it just kind of gives you a little bit more to it as well. And there's also little kind of tabs here, so you can bring some guy rope directly through there and use that as a hanging point for sort of things like lanterns and stuff. Mesh door to the right with that sort of rain-safe canopy door, and again we've got it to the left. But we'll kind of have a little wander outside. Not only have you got kind of cable entry points at the front as previously mentioned, but then you also have it from the side just down there. You see a little kind of aluminum pillar. And as we come out of the tent, you can kind of sort of appreciate. So it's not essentially a short tent, it's a decent sort of size tent, but sits really nicely with that sort of beam system. I put that rear vent up so you can actually completely close it up if you wanted to. So this point just comes and zips along the bottom nice and neatly here. Failing that, you can actually bring it out to a stay point, so it keeps it out, but then you've still got your rain safe cover, or get the ultimate amount of ventilation. A lot of the kind of guidelines as well have these little retainer tabs as well, just to kind of keep it all nice and neatly. And you can probably see a little bit better of how kind of that slopes at the back, just to try and increase that height, so it comes back a little bit. It's not completely flush, and then every single beam, like I said, has got this individual point, and that rain safe canopy door just gives you a bit more protection for those days when the weather's a bit intermittent. And then we've got a low level ventilation point down there as well. So lots of talking points. I think from a size point of view it was really well. Spec wise worked really well. You've still got your kind of main features like toggle up curtains. You've got a kind of zip divider between the bedroom sections. You've got multiple mesh doors, which also works really nicely. Kind of a slightly darker inner bedrooms as well. You've got the hook track system, so there's lots of little talking points around the actual tent as well. So certainly one we'd try and look at to have in our indoor showroom. It works really quite nicely. But generally, for more information, feel free to follow the link below this video. It'll take you straight through to the website. We've got everything from the pack sizes, floor dimensions, individual features, all listed quite nice and neatly for you. Obviously, the price and package deals that we also offer to give you a bit of a better comparison. Actually, one thing I've not mentioned is a little cable entry point into the bedroom section as well, which again is a small little detail you wouldn't expect to see on kind of a more price orientated range from Outwell. But lots of talking points. For me, it's one of the favourites in the collection, just for I think it ticks a lot of boxes for a family of 4 or a small family of 5. So yeah, I think it's quite a nice little model. Let us know what you think of it, of course, by all means contacting us via email, or you feel free to comment in the box below. It's always great to have feedback on these kind of things. But that's kind of our little video review on the brand new Outwell Jacksondale 5PA.